Turkish fighters in Syria is out of the question despite being a NATO ally. The Turkish president views Syria's Kurds as an extension of the PKK, with whom Ankara signed a ceasefire agreement last year after a 3-decades-long war. But as Kurds continue to die in Kobani, south of the Turkish border, their community is growing angrier by the day, especially following evidence Ankara is facilitating the jihadist cause. From the Syrian-Turkish border, Luke Brown and Alexandra Renard bring you this report.
A high vantage point along the Turkey-Syria border. The other side of this railway line is Syria. These 4 men have just changed from military fatigues into jihadist attire. Crossing the frontier and into Islamist-controlled areas is as simple as walking through this passage. It's all witnessed by the TV crew and locals gathered on this hill, as well as Turkish border outposts who do nothing to intervene. Inside Syria itself, Kurdish Syrian fighters do open fire to applause from the partisan crowds. Until, that is, the jihadists' own positions return fire, with some of the bullets headed towards the onlookers in Turkey. Within minutes, the 4 Islamist fighters rejoin their comrades safely inside jihadist-held territory. The scene is a familiar one for Sehbal Senyurt, a human rights activist from Diyarbakir, the principal Kurdish town in southeastern Turkey. Ever since the Islamist siege of Kobani began, she's kept watch both at day and at night along the frontier in areas known to be easily traversed. Alongside volunteers from all across Turkey, they brave potential retaliation to hinder the Islamists' crossing.
That's the frontier between Turkey and Syria. In small groups, we position ourselves here, here and here. We want the Islamic State fighters to give up on using this border crossing here because we're here. We demonstrate and we make noise. We keep a constant watch. What we see most is an increase in the number of vehicles, especially at night. Vehicles of all kinds come and go, whereas normally there's very little traffic, especially of pickup trucks along this point.
Pickup trucks and armed men are also clearly visible during the day, just a stone's throw from the Turkish border. Tahir Elchi is the most senior lawyer in Diyarbakir. Since the start of Syria's civil war, he's closely followed events on the other side of the 900-kilometre-long shared frontier. Because of its decades-long conflict with the PKK, Turkey's border was already heavily guarded, meaning for many observers, the Turkish authorities are turning a blind eye to the flow of jihadists.
Turkey has been training, arming and sending over the so-called moderate opposition to fight the Syrian regime. But over the past year, that's taken on another dimension. ISIS and similar groups illegally enter Turkey to stock up, and then they return to Syria. That's against the law. But it's the policy of the state. The government may be able to authorize it, but it's completely illegal.
Turkey has been reluctant to aid Kobani for fear of encouraging the separatist Kurdish cause. Instead of bombing the Islamists in Syria, Ankara preferred to launch airstrikes inside Turkey against PKK positions last week. Those raids the first since the 2013 ceasefire was called. For many Kurds, it's one provocation too many, as they reiterate appeals for a humanitarian corridor. The imprisoned leader of the PKK, Abdullah Öcalan, is to announce on Tuesday whether or not to maintain the truce. If not, Turkey's reluctance to aid Kurds just over the frontier may backfire, as another conflict could reignite inside its borders.
And now for a roundup of the latest sports news, and we begin with France's Ligue 1 football.
Marseille moves 7 points clear of defending champions Paris Saint-Germain.